This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, this is Alex Bennett, host of the Ramble, heard here and seen here on GabNet, Tuesday through Fridays, live at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and I got some big news for you. Our program has moved its live video from Facebook Live to YouTube Live. After extensive tests in our GabNet laboratories of at least 10 minutes, our mind was made up and we've come to the conclusion that YouTube is superior not only in video quality, but audio as well. And then there's the ease of watching it. Here's what you do. Simply point your browser to youtube.com/Bolo Bennett /live. That's youtube.com/Bolo Bennett, BOLOBENNETT /live. And you're there. The player is waiting, and you do nothing, and when the show begins, so does the player. Couldn't be simpler. In fact, tag that page as a permanent tab on your browser, and you're ready to go. And if all of this is too vexing for you, well, just go to gabnet.net near showtime, and the player in the middle of the page will start to play when we're on. We're thrilled with the new quality our move has provided, and while you're there, would you do me a favor and please subscribe to our channel? No, I beg you to. Hey, listen to me, I'm groveling, okay? I know, it's pathetic. I'm sorry, I'm debasing myself, and I really shouldn't be. Please.
Evolution is defined as any process of formation or growth, development, the evolution of a radio program right before your ears.
Welcome into The Exchange. It's Rob Alfano, and it's a Wednesday night, a special night, and we'll talk about that in just a few moments. You're going to give us a call on Skype in a little while.
I'm Jim Browning. You're listening to The Exchange. Well, our long national nightmare just may be over. It seems that we are ready to say goodbye to reality television.
Good evening and hello, everybody. Welcome to The Exchange, your safe haven for the free and open exchange of ideas and opinions here on the Great American Broadcast Network every Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 10 Eastern, 6:30 to 7 Western. I'm your host and broker, Damian Chaplin. If you'd like to join the conversation tonight, go ahead and give us a call on Skype. I'm opening the lines right now.
The Exchange, one program, ever evolving. Be a part of evolution. Tuesday through Friday at 9:30 p.m., Damian Chaplin moves you in new directions. Call GabNet Live on Skype at 347-352-0079. The Exchange, the evolution. Tuesday through Friday at 9:30 Eastern, only on GabNet. You love GabNet. You love the hosts and the citizen panels. In fact, you wish you could take them wherever you go. On your computer, log on to gabnet.net, where our stream is available around the clock. On your TV, GabNet is available on Roku with the same around-the-clock stream, plus all the latest episodes of GabNet programs, old favorites, videos, and tons of celebrity interviews. When you're mobile, we're on your iPhone or iPad with podcasts accessible via iTunes or Stitcher, and that same around-the-clock stream on TuneIn. If you don't want GabNet wherever you go, well, the hell with you. Go ahead, listen to your old-fashioned talk shows that do things in the same old predictable way. Meanwhile, the rest of us will be having fun listening to talk like you've never heard it before on GabNet. Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Sing along. Hey everybody, it's Alex. It is the Ramble, and we are here for fun and excitement throughout the evening. We go until let's see here, until midnight Eastern Standard Time. It's not daylight time yet. Will be again soon. And we're here until then, and we will have our citizens panel a little bit later. I've got something special for you tonight, and I want to first of all thank a guy by the name of Art Vuolo. I guess did I pronounce it correctly? Art Vuolo, Art Vuolo Jr. Right? I like that Vuolo because my nickname when I was a kid was Bolo, so you know. But he lives in Michigan, and he has had, I guess it's kind of, you know, how we all have kind of like hobbies, and eventually they turn into a business. I mean, like, well, this is a business that turned into a hobby, but normally, I mean, when I started out in radio, before I ever started out in radio, I was doing pretend radio shows in my bedroom, you know, on a tape recorder. So a lot of us start out doing something as a hobby, and it's so pleasant and wonderful when that hobby can also turn into your pastime and your profession. And Art Vuolo has been doing something over the years, and to show you how far back it goes, the first time I encountered him was in 1982 in San Francisco, and he got a hold of me and said, "Do you mind if I come in and videotape you doing your radio show?" So I, you know, said, "Sure, great, you know, just let me have a copy of it or whatever, and you can come in and do it." And he came in and did it. And that was part of what he was doing. He was going all around the country, recording people, radio people, doing their radio shows. And he has a library that is so extensive now that the Radio Broadcasters Hall of Fame, to which I have never even been asked to be part of, in spite of my stunning career, is going to take his tapes and make them as part of a thing, and put it on their website, literally, so you can see all these people doing their radio shows. And I guess he's got hundreds of them. Maybe it's, Art, if you're listening, it's probably thousands, I would imagine, of just about everybody imaginable. And the next time I encountered Art was in 1991. And he recorded me as I was doing a live show. Now, let me say that Art then got a hold of me recently, many, many, many years later, and says, I have a couple of tapes of you. And I said, "Really?" I said, "I would love to see them." He says, "Well, I'll get them to you." And we went back and forth about when the dates were on these various things. And finally, the other day in the mail, sure enough, here come two files of videos that I had done, that he had done with me. One of them was the one in 1982, or was it? It had to be, it had to be 82, I think. Yes, in 1982, and that was of me at the Quake station called the Quake. I then subsequently went to Live 105. And about 9 years later, Art showed back up and said, "Can I record your show?" And we were doing a show from the Marriott Hotel, from the, not the lobby, but there was like an atrium or whatever at this hotel, at the Marriott Hotel in San Francisco. And we were doing one of our live broadcasts. And because the NAB was in town, the National Association of Bombastic Broadcasters. And he recorded that. And the second file was of that. And what was on it just made my jaw drop. I played the thing for girlfriend, and she just went, this is gold. And what it was me doing my live show. Now, there was a whole segment of me doing my letters segment, which we're not going to bore you with right now. But what also was on that show was, to begin with, a guy who we just absolutely loved. And in this video, you will see his true brilliance. and his name was Kevin Meaney. Kevin has since passed away and died about last year. But you can see him in all his glory. And another guy by the name of David Feldman, who has risen to lesser fame, but is still, and you can see in those days how brilliant he was, how absolutely brilliant he was. And our guest, Larry King. Now, the hardest thing you can do as a broadcaster and as an interviewer is, if you're an interviewer, to interview an interviewer. But I did it, and what turned out was so phenomenal. I wrote Art, and I said, "Do you mind if I play this thing on the air?" And he said, "I would be honored if you did so." So I dedicate this to you, Art Vuolo, and here, let's go back to 1991 to a much younger Alex Bennett and a much, much younger Larry King.
Bennett, we're here at the Marriott Hotel doing a little road show, and this is a live studio audience at the National Association of Bottom Feeders. Gosh, been a good audience this morning, and this is a strange room, isn't it, Kevin? Kevin Meaney, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's weird. It's definitely weird.
That fabulous Meaney family, America's lovable TV family.
That's right.
And doing
Who's off the air forever and ever? It's Uncle Buck.
Kevin
and
Meaney.
but you have an HBO special.
HBO special coming up October 19th.
On
HBO, 10:30 p.m.
That's what spot on the dial?
I don't know what channel would be here. People ask you that, but I can't tell you.
Oh.
It's 22
Could you
where I
come
live.
over to my place and tune it in for me?
Sure.
Okay, good. And Jeff Cesario, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very
By
much.
the way, Kevin's at the other. Jeff Cesario, Tommy T's in San Ramon. David Feldman, largely unemployable.
You can catch me on every after a minimum cable TV show.
It's amazing. It's amazing who you meet at this convention, because already today, passing by me is the guy who fired me at this radio station originally, and then another guy who fired me at WIOD in Miami. So that
Alex, I got some news for you.
Don't boo him. He still has to live in Miami, okay? I think that's...
Alex, we're going for the hat trick.
Then, all of a sudden, it's some kind of flashback in my life. A guy comes up to me and says, "Hi, hello, you remember me?" And it was Bruce Williams, who's on the NBC network. And the reason I remember him is because we worked together at WMCA in New York. And a few years ago, I went back to WMCA in New York, and there was this picture that was taken of all the people at WMCA in New York. And it was like me and Sally Jesse Raphael and Bruce Williams, and they had put me on the periphery of the picture. And I looked at all the other people who were on the periphery of the picture and said, "I bet we're going to be fired in 2 weeks." And sure enough, 2 weeks later, we were out. One other person was in that picture, and here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Larry King. Have a seat, Larry. Here.
Morning. Thank you. Thank you.
You remember that? You remember that picture?
No.
We were all standing there with telephones in our hands.
No. But I'll answer any other question but that.
But it was amazing. You, Sally Jesse Raphael,
I remember
Bruce Williams.
when we started on Mutual in '78. Our first New York outlet was WMCA, but it was so brief because we went over to WOR in about 6 months. I think we were on MCA 6 months, maybe a year.
Yeah.
And then we were on OR all those years. But I remember that. I don't remember posing for pictures with the phone.
They put me on the periphery. Everybody on the periphery was out in 2 weeks.
What time of day were you on?
I was on, actually at that point, I had, it was very strange. I was doing a show, I was doing the afternoons there. And then Barry Farber lost the election. He was a
For mayor.
local talk show for mayor and needed a station, so they fired me and hired him. And I told everybody they should have voted for him, and I lost my job.
Whereas if he were mayor, you'd still be in New York.
So by the time you saw me, I was doing part-times there.
Well, this is my, you belong here, Alex. This is a strange city, and you belong. Also, this is
what you're trying to say is
also
my
favorite city. This is I tell that to everybody. You go around the world and you travel a lot, and with CNN, we're all over the world, and people always ask, where, if you could live one place, where would you live? That you're not living now, and it would be San Francisco.
Oh, come on.
Oh, that's right. Just suck up to
Yeah,
them
could
right
you
now,
kiss
Larry.
a little more,
Suck up
Tail
to
End?
who? Yeah.
Suck up to who? I resent that. I'm so who's here? The mayor is here. Herb Cain is here. Who am I sucking up to? I love this is a special city. I think when you spend a lot of time here, you don't realize it, how special it is until you go other places.
Like
Most
Miami.
other places look alike.
You know, I feel exactly the same way. I don't live here, but if I could move back, I would. I love this city. Great
All right,
town,
all
San
right. If
Francisco.
all right, I feel the same way.
It's a great town.
You don't feel the same, do you?
I would like to move out of here as quickly as possible. I think it's a backwater town. It's what is it, 6th, 7th largest market, 8th in the country? 5th. I just feel like an amateur living here. And I just don't feel I'm good enough to make it in New York or L.A., so that's why I hide here. And I think the people are stupid here, too, as a matter of fact.
Or you think it's a no-count city?
I just think, like, it's just nothing, zero.
Why don't you try Des Moines?
I think it's inbred. I think the only reason I'm, like, making any money in this town is because the people just don't have a clue. So, welcome to San Francisco, Larry.
Try being Jewish.
He is.
You're Jewish, too?
Yeah.
Well, then Pittsburgh's a good town.
I want to, you know, I was thinking a minute ago that, like, I'm very shy when people are going to be on the show. I don't like to talk to them ahead of time.
I never do.
You're the same way. I was going to ask you that. I mean,
I never plan and I never talk. I mean, the guests on television, they sit down about, we go on at 9, they sit down about 2 minutes to 9, and radio about 2 minutes before going on.
I don't even like my producer to sit them down before I actually start talking because I don't want. It's funny, but I feel that if I say hello to them, I'm breaking some kind of.
Well, I'll
with the
casually say hello, and a lot of times you know the guests. I mean, if it's a senator and you've seen him at lunch that day, and then you're sitting there with him, but I will never talk, ever, about what I'm going to talk about on the air.
Yeah.
Because I would never, if I were on tonight and I'm talking about Clarence Thomas, I would not ask the guest before we go on what he thinks. And I have no idea what I'm going to ask the guest as I'm introducing the guest. I've always worked that way for 30 years. Is that as I'm saying, my guest is Alex Bennett, I don't know what the question is. And then something happens.
That's pretty much the way I work.
Some kind of chemistry happens. And it's not a lesson. If I was speaking at schools, I wouldn't say this is the way to do interviews. But you have to do what's best for you. You have to do what's most comfortable to you in this. That's probably true in any business, but certainly in broadcasting. Whatever you feel the best about is the best. You can't be someone else. I work off the top. You like working off the top?
I always work off the top of my head, and mainly because I don't think that there's any.
It was a cheap ball joke. I'm sorry.
It's a great conversation, just talking about, you know, not planning anything and just.
No,
We bust our tails with jokes and stuff. You guys walk in and say they don't think of nothing.
No, I never prepare questions because I figure you're getting into a conversation, and then
Well,
if you are curious, you're going to be a good interviewer.
Yeah. The whole secret is curiosity and ability to listen.
Yeah.
You got to listen because, especially if you work that way, you better listen because if you run into opportunities with interviewers who don't listen, and I've run into a lot of them, you can have a lot of laughs. I was on a show in Dallas once called, this is a true story, Interviewers Who Don't Listen. I was on a show called Good Morning Dallas.
What did you say, Larry?
What?
Oh.
Close your eyes. Okay, picture Good Morning Dallas. Now picture the host and the co-hostess. You're right. You're right. You got him down pat. And the blonde lady was interviewing me. And she had 5 pre-printed questions that she was going to ask. And she was going to ask those 5 questions no matter what I said. And when I was on, she'd look at the monitor. And if the camera was on me, she would fix her lipstick. She would do her makeup. She just didn't pay attention at all. She just asked questions, and I answered them. And the 3rd question was like, what makes a good talk show host? And then she would go back to doing her makeup. And so the cameramen were into me, and I was into them, and the director and everything, and we knew that this was an airhead who had no concept and was not listening at all. So she asked me, what makes a good talk show host? I said, in my case, being employed by the CIA is a big help because they get me guests, and I give clues, and these clues are heard by agents around the world, and then they can blow up munitions dumps. And then her next question was, are you married? That's the non-listening host.
So you got this whole theory about how to run an interview. Have you ever had it go wrong on you?
Well, there's no perfect interview. You know, you do the best you can. You ask the best questions you can. You listen the best. Your job is to elicit the most you can out of a guest. I don't use the word I when I interview people. I is irrelevant. There's no place in an interview, I don't think. My opinion of your movie is immaterial. It's your movie that counts. The guest counts. Sure, you can goof. I did a whole 2 hours once with the president of Apple Computer, and we talked about the founding of Apple and how he got to be president. And I never asked him. He got hired by the original founder and fired the guy who hired him. He wound up being
Scully.
president of the company, Scully, and fired Jobs. I never found that out till the last phone call. Ask why I didn't ask that, and that never came up. Sure, you're gonna miss things. That jumps out in my mind. No one's ever done the perfect interview, but I think the first thing is to love it. I love the exchange. See, like right now, I'd like to be asking questions of everybody here. I would like to do a show where the curtain opens, and that's where we all learn the guest. I don't care to know the guest.
I'm exactly the same way.
I like
exactly
that.
the same way. But
You guys are very much alike.
I'm out for his job. Don't tell him that. Okay. Anyway, now, but I'm not saying that I don't want to put you on the spot on this one, but the fact is that some people, no matter how nice they are, no matter how decent they are, sometimes they're just terrible interviews.
Yeah, well, then
Really terrible.
They are.
So
Some people are not.
I got to ask you, who's the worst?
Most people who go on shows are pretty good. If you're going on CNN tonight on a show that's going to be in 102 countries around the world, you're probably a pretty good guest. The producers have talked to you. They know that you certainly know the subject pretty well. I mean, they can't make you fiery if you're not fiery. You want 4 good things in a guest. You want passion, you want a sense of humor, you want an ability to self-deprecate yourself, you want an ability to place the person listening in the person on the air shoes, put you on. Sinatra's the greatest guest there is. He embodies all those things. I've done him a lot. Every time he comes on, he's terrific. He's hard to get, but he fits all those things. Now, the classic is the guy who doesn't, the one-word answer, the person who doesn't want to be there. I had a terrible time with Damon Wilson of Sanford and Son. I have a tough time with Robert Mitchum. Mitchum is the guy who gives you one-word answers and makes everything so simple that he won't think in the abstract. And if they won't think in the abstract, then they won't take you beyond what you ask them. So if you ask Robert Mitchum, explain your concept, how you view a role. You're going to take this job. How do you view it? He said, I read it, learn it, do it. I said, that's it, that's it. What about working for John Huston? He was fine. Compare directors.
Yeah.
I just do what they say. See, then after a while, you don't know if he's putting you on. I asked him what he thought of Al Pacino. He said, I've never seen his work. What do you think of Robert De Niro? Don't know him. Now, after a while, you got 48 questions there. But sometimes you can take a guess, it's a true story, take a bad guess and make them good. And that's when you feel good. And it's like a comic. When you go on stage, I do a lot of speaking around the country, and I like to work comedically, so I tell stories. And sometimes you'll go up and it's not working that night. Nothing can always work every night. And the greatest kick to the comic is to have it start bad and then win them over. Have a bad first 5 minutes, and then by the end have them cracking up, and then you feel you've accomplished something. And with an interview, I had a guy on once in Miami at WIOD in those studios. There's an organization called the ACES. Aces are people who shoot down 5 enemy planes. If you shoot down 5 enemy planes in a war, you're an ace. It started in the United States, but now it's international. There are North Vietnamese aces, Soviet aces, German aces, and they're a social organization. They meet, and they have an international convention, and they shop talk. They talk about war, and they're all fighter pilots. They're all individualists. They've all fought against each other. Many times they'll meet, and they find they were in the same battle against each other. They're a really extraordinary organization. You have to shot down 5 enemy planes. And one year, the aces had a convention in Miami. And we happen to have an ace living in Miami. And the Miami Herald found this guy, and they brought him, and they asked him if they were doing a feature on him. They're following me around. He comes to my radio show. And I was on from 9 to midnight, and he was the last guest from 11 to 12. We didn't take any phone calls. I just did interviews. I didn't like phone calls. I like long interviews. So he would come into he comes into the studio. This is an ace. He shot down 11 German planes in World War II. I shake hands with him, and his hands are sweating. I said to him, hi, and he goes, hi. And he sits down. I know I'm in trouble. His mouth is dry. This guy is scared. So my first question to him was, why did you enlist? Why did you choose the Army Air Corps? He says, I don't know. I said, what do you like about flying? It's nice. Now, I'm 3 minutes into the show, and I'm out of questions. The guy is totally panicked. There's nothing left to ask him. And this is an ace. So what I did at that moment was I went to the moment, and I said to him, are you nervous? And he said he was, and I asked why, and he said because he didn't know who was listening. He had a fear because he was on the radio and he had no idea who was listening. I said, do you mean to tell me if there were a plane in the back of this station and enemy planes came overhead, you would not be afraid to take that plane up and go fight them? He said, not at all. But you're afraid of this, afraid of not... I said, I'm afraid. I would be afraid to go fight. And what happened was we took the talk from being an ace to fear. We started talking about fear. And in 20 minutes, I created a monster. 20 minutes after 11, this guy is doing things like, we dove out of the sky at 4,000 feet. Through the clouds, the sun burst. I could see the edge of the airplane gleaming off the side of their tongues. I saw the fierceness of their... By 12 o'clock, they had to carry this guy out of the station. I made him show business.
Can you stick around a little more?
Yeah.
Larry King's with us, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm Alex Bennett, and this is a live studio audience here at the Marriott in San Francisco, here at the National Association of Broadcasters Convention. Kevin Meaney is with us, Jeff Cesario, David Feldman, and Larry King is here as well. You know what I got to say is difficult? Interviewing an interviewer.
Sure, because they do the same profession you do. That's why a lot of people think, boy, if I'm going to have a good convention, if I've got doctors, I'll get a doctor to interview them. That would be the worst, because a doctor ain't going to be curious. Yeah. The thing that makes an interviewer good is that he or she is curious about a whole body of things. And one of the things you're not curious about is interviewing.
It's exactly what we're talking about now.
You're not curious about radio because you know radio. So you're not going to ask questions about radio style because you know radio style. That's why often if you see sports events, and Sandy Koufax quit doing baseball because he once was on with Bob Gibson, and he found himself, Bob Gibson had just pitched a no-hitter, and Koufax was explaining to Gibson what Gibson did.
Yeah.
He wasn't asking questions because he wasn't curious. So that's why it's hard.
Now, you're a big sports maven.
Big.
And
I love sports.
Did you always want to basically
I thought I wanted
sports?
to be a baseball broadcaster. I wanted to be Red Barber. I was a kid, and I used to listen to Red Barber and Russ Hodges, who later came out.
So
here.
where did it go wrong? I mean, what's
I went to Miami, and I started. And
I went to Miami.
I was in. I love Miami. I spent 20 years in Miami. I started in Miami. My first day on the air was in Miami, and I thought I'd be a sportscaster. And then I got a show like this. It was at Pumpernicks Restaurant. I was doing a morning show, and the owner of Pumpernicks, Charlie Bookbinder, liked me, and he liked my style, and he said, would you like to do an interview show in our restaurant every morning? And it had no producer, and so I had no training to interview guests. We had no guests booked. I would take people right out of the audience, and authors started coming in, and that show caught on, and Bobby Darin came in, Jimmy Hoffa, Ed Sullivan, Danny Thomas. They just dropped in. They were never booked. It became a coffee clutch scene, and the Miami Herald did write-ups on it, and it caught on. I got television almost immediately. I got a nightly television show, and I was doing both, and I've done both all my career, and I knew early on that was a niche. If you can interview well, you have a special niche. A lot more sportscasters than interviewers. But I liked it.
At some point in that career, it fell apart.
In 1972, I lost both jobs. I had outspent myself. I was forced into bankruptcy. I was living on an ego trip. And then I did some writing and came back on the air in 75. And then in 77, Mutual had this idea for a national radio talk show, which no one thought could work. In fact, I even doubted if it could work, but I moved to Washington, and that show caught on. It was the right time, because AM radio was in trouble. AM was starting to fade, FM was coming up, and AM stations were starting to scrounge and look for things to do, and talk was one of the things that AM can do better than FM.
Do you think that down period made you appreciate what you got now?
Oh, yeah. The best thing that ever happened to me was losing work makes you appreciate work. For example, the best thing that ever happened to me in my life was having a heart attack early. I had a heart attack in 87.
Wow,
some people have all the luck.
Yeah, I gotta try it.
Well, it got me to stop smoking, lose 30 pounds, be conscious of what I eat, be weight conscious. I just passed an insurance physical that shows I didn't even have a heart attack. So that, so sometimes you can make adversity terrific. You can make adversity work for you if you use it. Whereas if you take the down period and make it up. In fact, everyone I've pretty much known has had major down periods.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and the down period helps you when you don't learn anything when you win. You learn a lot when you lose. So Don Shula told me once. He's really right.
I've had a theory during my life is you hang out with losers, and you learn about losing. That's why I hang out with Feldman, for instance, as an example.
Well, guys who lose a lot tend to drift together. Jack Parr told me once. He'll walk into a restaurant and there'll be 6 or 7 television hosts sitting in the corner saying, "Who is he?" They're losers. If you sit and worried about guys who make it, and there are a lot of people in the radio business who have a losing mentality. There's something about radio. I don't know what it is. But there's a lot of guys. No, they sit around and they just get up in the morning depressed. They're going to hate the general manager before they meet the general manager.
Gee, who would that be? Who would we know on this dais?
I'm as happy as I've ever been, damn it.
Have you had that kind of life, Alex?
I think for a while, yeah, but not now. I
You're
love
happy
my
now.
general manager.
You love your general
Well,
Wait a minute, this is San Francisco. I have to ask that twice.
He's been
You
tested.
love your general manager.
No, I love the job. I love this audience. This is
Well,
this
it's
is the
young,
best part of it
vibrant.
right
This is a
here.
vibrant, great audience.
I owe everything I have today to them, and I'm going to get even with them for it sometime.
Also, a lot of nice ladies here.
Oh yes. Yeah.
There are rewards to this job, huh, Alex?
It's a nice job. I got into it for the records and the women, and I got a real nice record collection now, and I'm happy to have it. So
why do these comics stare at you with such admiration? Do you really worship Alex?
I'm exhausted.
No, we're out.
Been here since
I did a
6
set
this
at 5:45 this morning, Larry. I opened the show.
These guys are your fans.
No, we're afraid of him.
I'm the king of comedy here in this town. And Larry, great.
I got to go, guys.
Glad
Thank you very much for
Larry
doing
King, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Larry. We'll be right back.
We on the air?
It's sort of like the heart.
I'm Alex Bennett. This is a live studio audience right here at the Marriott Hotel in downtown San Francisco, here at the National Association of Broadcasting Convention. Kevin Meaney, television's lovable Uncle Buck.
Thank you. Who's off
Cancelled.
the air forever?
Canceled. But does have an HBO special coming up this month.
October 19th.
October 19th, called Kevin Meaney.
Get that puss off your face special.
And next to him, Jeff Cesario,
I'm actually
a failed pilot at CBS.
I'm actually television's lovable Uncle Tanoots. Would be my.
And he's out.
Oh, so you know Danny Thomas?
Yeah, that's
You're
correct.
at the other cafe. Hey,
How about that glass coffee top table? Is that
Come
true?
on
I just
now.
hope
It
we
is
used
true.
coasters,
It is true. I
Kevin.
talked to somebody who
It
works
is true.
for
I'm at Tommy T's, NBC
Kevin,
Specialist
in
Holiday.
San
I
Ramon.
told
You
my mother
are
about
at
the
the
glass
other
top
cafe.
I told
Feldman isn't working.
I told my mother about the glass top coffee table. She said, "Well, I hope he used coasters."
Nobody gets that because nobody knows what we're talking about.
Well, Danny would like to get a. I don't really
Now,
want to
you,
say it.
you don't want to stick around for our reviews.
No,
Because you always argue with.
I always argue with this man.
I appreciate discourse.
Mm-hmm.
So please stick around.
Okay, all right, I will then.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Who are you going to review today?
We'll
here with
see.
our movie reviews is Michael Snyder.
Yeah. Good morning. The Entertainment
Oh, that's your
Report-
name.
The Entertainment
Michael
Report
Schneider.
is brought to you by the Punchlines here in San Francisco and in Walnut
Oh, let me
Creek.
just ask you one question. Are you
Before the plug or after
Are you
the plug?
hyping the punchline? Did you ever
They
put
bought
Did you
time.
ever put down acts from the punchline?
Why, certainly. I'll do that today
No,
if you
you
like.
don't.
I try.
All right, go ahead.
All
Go
right.
ahead. Go ahead.
Brought to you by the Punchlines here in San Francisco, where you can see Kip Padada, James Wesley Jackson, and Shyama, and out in Walnut Creek, Don McMillan, Alex Reed, and Greg Bennett. And I got to tell you, folks, if I seem a little groggy, I've been partying all night with Bowie, and it's been a rockin' good time here at the convention.
Smoking the crack pipe?
Oh,
have you been?
God.
A lot of crack smoking here
You know,
at
as
the
a matter of
NAB
fact,
convention.
Iman does all the copping. She does the copping, and David does all the smoking. And it's a groovy thing. It's a beautiful thing. Anyway,
Cop and
this is what happens when you reach the top.
and Bowie smokes the crack.
It's a beautiful thing.
He said it. I'm just.
David, he's a great guy. Just kidding, Dave. Barton Fink opens today. Have you seen this thing yet, Kevin, down south? In La La Land? Where the movies are
I
free
haven't
and
seen it. No.
Life is Easy. Totally cool, totally bizarre film. The Coen brothers, the guys that they did Blood Simple, Raising Arizona, and Miller's Crossing. And this is all about a playwright in New York during the 40s, played by John Turturro, who is great, really tremendous. And he decides to break down and go to Hollywood, make some money, write a few scripts. And it's like the nightmare that happens to him, the living nightmare that happens to him in L.A. John Goodman is in this thing from Roseanne and other well-known work, and he is great. Best performance I've ever seen him give on screen. John Goodman plays a traveling salesman, lives next door to the playwright as he's trying to break through his mental block. I would suggest, you know, if you're into this sort of
So it's the feel good hit of the fall.
Not quite. No, it's the feel demented hit of the fall, actually. So I would recommend it highly. It's a wait in line for me. My kind of movie. Barton Fink, and I would also suggest that Freddy's Dead. Promises. The Final Nightmare. They told us that, but I have a hard time believing it. They wouldn't let us see Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare.
So it really doesn't matter then?
No, not particularly. I don't know. Maybe I'll check it out. Maybe a bargain matinee for you Freddy fans. Robert Englund is back. Maybe for the last time. Maybe not. I don't know. And for you foreign film lovers, the story of Boys and Girls, directed by Pupi Avati. Pupi Avati.
That's not a name you want to associate.
Let's bring him on out here. Pupi Avati. Stand up, Pupi.
I don't miss a Pupi Avati film. I don't know about you guys. Not a bad movie. Set in 30s Italy. You know, period piece about a marriage about to happen between a rich guy and a poor girl. Or maybe a rich girl and a poor guy. I can't remember. It was Italian. It was Italian. I don't remember. What do you got in video, bud?
In video, the only thing I'm going to recommend, number 246.
Right, we're on
a limited edition, 4,000. It'll be worth money someday. Each sleeve has the Star Trek insignia on the little protective cover.
It's the 25th anniversary Trek box.
$149.
Oh man.
$100 if you buy it on videotape. But it's all 5 movies.
$30 go to Leonard Nimoy's ears. They actually now have residuals. The ears themselves do. What have you seen lately you like, Kevin? I'm curious. Have you seen any movie you like?
Michael, I'm not part of this little presentation that you're doing here.
I'm bringing you into it, babe.
I don't want to be brought into it. I don't want to be a part of your little game here.
My little game.
You know?
Wow, I sense hostility.
But I really hope that things work out for you, and maybe sometime you'll move on and be a member of the Regis and Kathy Lee team.
If I'm really lucky.
Because I think you'd really work with them well.
Do you know those guys? Mm-hmm. Have you cohabited with Regis and Kathy Lee?
Did you ever do their show?
Yes, I have.
Because I did their show. Yeah. Is it true? Follow me on this one.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Agree with me. Before the show, she comes into the green room with the baby, with Cody, and tries to sell it for whiskey. Am I right or am I wrong?
That's true.
Wow.
I heard that's true.
Mm-hmm. Well, if Michael agrees with you, I can't agree with you.
We'll be right back. Give you the good stuff in the last 5 minutes. I did have a TV show. This is what I'm left with, this thing here.
19.
You know, Kevin, they canceled Alex's TV show and erased the final episode, so there's no way it can end up in the Museum of Broadcasting.
What was the name of that TV show?
Here's Alex.
Oh, really?
I never forget that final episode. We all kind of glommed onto one another and hugged each other like Sue Ann and Ted, and he cried and said, I cherish you people.
We're talking about the last Alex Bennett show on KICU.
And nobody has it on tape?
No. Let me just mention, because we give them 5 free plugs for listening to our radio station, Burlingame Cyclery at 1111 Burlingame Avenue, the largest Klein dealer. How's your Klein? On the peninsula, they're offering rock shocks installed on any new bike for $275. You think I'm going to do a commercial off the air?
I didn't know what you were doing.
1992 bikes are arriving, so we can make room for all the 99. So we can make room. All the 1991 bikes are priced to blow out, including Trek, Bianchi, and
Giant.
And trade-ins are always
welcome.
And this week say
Alex Bennett can't ride a bike
and get a free T-shirt with any
purchase.
That's
Burlingame Cyclery, our latest merchant of the week. Just for listening at work to Live 105.
Wow. You've got a career.
Are you you're taping a special down the hall and have to leave us at this time, don't you?
Yes, I do have to leave, and
special down the hall.
I'm doing a special down the hall.
Oh, you are not.
I'm actually doing the Rush Limbaugh show. And we're going to talk about our weight problems.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Meaney.
Thank you very much, everybody. You guys have been fantastic. I'll be at the other cafe through Sunday night. 8:30
Do not miss him.
And don't miss the October 19th, the HBO special.
Great.
Get that puss off your face.
Kevin Meaney, once again.
Good night, everybody. Good day. Godspeed.
Once again, Kevin Meaney, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Quickly.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is Gabnet. the Great American Broadcast Network.
Here, let me open up the mic, and let me also try and... Oh, I pushed the wrong button. That's what I did. Here we go. Hi, how are you? Sorry, we're running a little longer than usual with the video portion of the show. But I think I didn't really want to run the Michael Snyder's reviews because they haven't changed in 20 years, 30 years. But I wanted to play it because Meanie so hated Michael that every time Michael was on with Meanie, it was gold. And as you saw, Meanie didn't let him get away with anything. And there was David Feldman there and Jeff Cesario and the great Larry King when we were both pups, okay, and not kids any longer. Anyway, look, I want to, let's open up the lines, okay, and let's talk to the people out there. And maybe one other day we'll play the other disc. But thank you to Art Vuolo, by the way. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right, Art, because I hate it when people pronounce my name wrong. Some people do. They say Alex Bennett. Okay, so Anyway. Our number, if you want to call us, it's a Skype number, is a Gabnet Live. If you don't know how to get a hold of us, you don't know how to get Skype, you don't know how to do the whole thing, just go over to gabnet.net, and you can, on the right-hand side of the page, all the information you'll need to know, including a number you can use just on your regular telephone to call us. There's also a convenient click button you can click on that will just dial your Skype right into us, okay? It's very simple. The whole thing is amazingly simple. So do that. And while you're over there, don't worry that you're going to miss any of the show because it's playing over there right now. The video is playing over there right now. So, Anyway, our lines are open. And now here's the point where I wait for people to call. Half the problem is that when I open up the lines and then I say the lines are now open, there's a problem with that. Well, what's the problem, Alex? The problem is that it's about 45 seconds before anybody hears me say the lines are open. So all those people who would be calling, like tonight it's a Phil-free night. I just remembered. That means I might have to play the Larry King interview over again. Anyway, so it's a Phil-free night, so feel free to call. For those people. There's a lot of people who hate Phil. And say, I can't listen to that show because I can't stand Phil. And I go, Phil is important to this show because he brings to this show an alternative opinion. You may hate that opinion, but he brings variety to the show. I would hate to have a show where everybody agreed with the host. That's also why I like Patrick. Patrick is a Republican. But unlike our friend Phil, he's a Republican who, quite frankly, is very what's the word I'm looking for? Very reasonable as a Republican. Anyway, I may fall asleep tonight because tonight I'm trying tea. Why am I trying tea? Because the coffee keeps me awake. And I want to see if I can go to sleep tonight without taking a Xanax to put me to sleep. Anyway, here comes Jeff Stein. Okay, so we got somebody calling. There we go. There is Jeff Stein. Let me put his picture up there. Hello there, Jeffrey.
How are you doing?
How are you? We're this is a Phil-free night tonight. So
I don't hate Phil.
I don't hate Phil. I like Phil. Phil's an old friend, I mean, I disagree with him. I think he's full of shit.
Oh, he's great to argue with.
He's not great. I'll tell you, in some ways, he's not great to argue with. And I'll tell you why. Because he's so out there that, it's like shooting fish in a fucking barrel. Yeah. If he were like, I've known right-wingers that I've interviewed who are just really bright, and sharp that I've had a hard time with, but Phil's not one of them. So whatever. So our lines are open and people can call us if they so desire. Guess what? I made the calls today. I got my Cialis.
Go. Good for you.
Yeah, I got my Cialis. Let me explain it here. First, let me put on John Peroulis, who is calling in. Hello, John. There we go. He's turning, his camera's going on. There we go. Let me explain something to Jeff a second. So, in case people don't know, I was having trouble getting Cialis, and I don't need it for a hard-on. Like, why do I preface it that way? I need it for.
It's okay if you do.
I need it for benign prostate hyperplasia, but the fact that I walk around with a hard-on all day is kind of a nice side effect. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so the other night Jeff comes on. I was having trouble getting. I got it with a new plan, right? So I was having trouble getting the Cialis because the company, my drug company or whatever, my pharmacy, my people, my drug plan that I got under SAG-AFTRA now, didn't want to give it to me, but I needed to get prior approval. Prior approval. So my doctor writes a note, sends it to SAG. Today I call SAG, and they say to me, "You got it. Go down and pick it up. You got prior approval on it." Because what they wanted to do was charge me $1,100.
Yeah.
Right? For the drug. And I'm sorry, I don't have $1,100 a month to put out, or for 3 months worth to put out. So I call up the Walgreens and I say, "How much is it going to cost?" And they say, "Well, it says $1,100 here." I said, "Just call in and ask them about it." And sure enough, I had gotten the approval. And they said $125 for a 3-month supply. Yeah. Now, I was paying $75 for a 1-month supply before. So this is what I'm saving. Now, what I'm saving more is on each drug, they put how much you're saving over what the drug costs. Okay, the 3-month supply would cost. It says your pharmacy plan just saved you, hold on, folks, $1,377.
Wow.
Whoa. Are they charging that much for a hard-on pill? Jeez almighty.
They're full of shit.
I know they're full of shit. And then you talk about this guy. Remember this guy who raised the drug prices on the AIDS drug?
Scarelli
is like, they're like Scarelli. There's no difference between the drug companies and Scarelli. And if they could do it, they'd do it too. You know? I mean, come on. You telling me that a pill that gives guys hard-ons is worth $500 a month? You're only charging that because there are guys who don't get hard-ons and they want us to solve the problem. So I mean, anyway, I get it for $125 for 3 months. So it comes down to $41.
That's a great deal.
$41 for a drug I used to pay $75 a month for. And so all my drugs combined, all of them, come to like $227 for 3 months, or about $66 a month. Pretty good, huh? I'm with a good union.
Got a good deal.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
How you doing?
Fine. I called to comment about your breakfast with Bennett.
Oh, that, yes.
I really like that. I just got in late, and I turned on it in progress, and while Larry King was on, yeah. And I just want to let you know, thanks to Michael Snyder's movie reviews,
you were able to find out exactly the date of that show.
Exactly. Barton Fink premiered on August 21st, 1991.
August 1st, 1991.
August 21st.
21st. Okay, so that was August 21st.
1990. Now, here's the thing. You know the thing with Kevin Beatty and Michael Snyder, do Sean Connery again?
Yeah.
Well, my memory was...
Here's what we're talking about, folks, because we don't want to leave the audience out in the dark.
That's right. You have a whole new audience.
He was doing a review, and he was doing Sean Connery, and then he did a little impression, Michael, of what he thought was...
He did the impression of Sean Connery in The Untouchables.
Yeah, and it was really a terrible impression, if I remember. and Meany said, "Oh, that was a great impression of Connery, Michael. Do it again." No. And Michael says, no. And he goes, do it again. Do it again. In that voice you heard for Kevin Meaney. Yeah. Do it again. Do it again. He starts saying, do it again. It had to be, what, 5 minutes? Over and over and over again.
Kept going on and on.
And it got to a point. This is what a dangerous comedian he was. He took it to a point where it was no longer funny, and then kept doing it more, so it became funnier again. You know, in other words, he took it to an extreme, and it was one of the funniest things. I don't have a recording of it, but it was one of the. And I may, but I can't find it.
Maybe you do. One thing, first night premiered on July 7th, 1995.
Wait a minute, July 7th, 1995. Okay. Damien, send me some more of my tapes. I don't think I have any from What year was that?
1995, July 7th. 1995. I'm getting these dates from IMDb.
And that's, what was that date again?
July 7th, 1995.
7th. 1995. Okay.
I know the movie was First Night with Richard Gere and Sean Connery.
Who knows? I might be able to find the tape.
Oops. Oh, there goes my phone. Sorry about that. Anyway, I forgot to turn off my ringer. But the interesting thing I just wanted to point out about this is 1995. This event between Meaney and Snyder was actually before then. So obviously this was a feud that was going on for a while.
It was a feud that was slowly building. Meaney, for some reason or another, absolutely hated Michael Snyder. And the only way, Michael Snyder still does reviews for us on the weekends here. And might I say that the only thing that's changed about Michael Snyder is brevity. I noticed how fast he got through a movie review in that thing. If you listen to him do it now, he goes on forever. And I wish I could play him that thing because he could see how fast, how terse he was at giving the reviews. But then again, he knew we had time, we had to use the time and so on. So. Whatever. Yeah. But I think that what you see briefly in that tape is the genius of Kevin Meaney. There was just there are certain comedians that I refer to as attitude comics, and he was an attitude comic. There was just an attitude he had, and the attitude was funny, no matter what he was talking about. Gilbert Gottfried's another attitude comic. Isn't a guy who says, "Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, did you ever, drive down the highway and blah, 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 blah," and then they make you laugh by telling stories or relating to their childhood. No, an attitudinal comic. He has the whole bits of, he used to have things about, wear big pants, people. And then he would just drive it into the ground until people were, I actually had one day that Meaney went into something, I can't remember what it was. And I finally had to beg him to stop because I was hurting from laughing so hard that I wanted the pain to stop. I asked him, please do me a favor, stop, okay? Because you're making me laugh too hard. And he's dead now, so, Woody Allen said something once about that he met Groucho Marx. He'd always wanted to meet Groucho Marx. And he finally got to meet him. And it was after his third heart attack. And he was just a vegetable. And Woody Allen said that depressed him for months because he realized that no matter how funny you are, no matter how great you are at your craft, eventually you're going to just be a blithering idiot. Really, there is no. Well, how did he put it? I'm trying to remember how he put it again. There was no reward for doing a good job. That all of a sudden here was this guy who had none of the capabilities he once had. They were all stripped from him by illness. And
there's something good to say about death is you're no longer a blithering idiot.
Well, probably Groucho would have been better remembered if he had died from the first heart attack. but he kept going on TV, and you kept seeing him, and he kept getting worse and worse and worse. And, if I have that big stroke, I'm not coming on. I'm sorry. You can do the show, Tom. Jeff can do the show.
Hey, somebody sent me a Facebook.
Huh?
Today, somebody sent me a Facebook link,
Yeah.
and it was the cast of MASH that all died, and it was like the whole show. It was, there's just like 2 or 3 guys.
Alan Alda, I think, is the only one. Well, he's still alive.
Who played the Hot Lips? I forget. She's still alive.
Is she still alive? What was
Yeah.
her name? I'm trying to remember her name now.
Oh damn! Shit, I can't remember her name. But so much of the other casts are gone. It's weird. It's like if you watch a rerun, it's like watching a show.
I hate to tell you this, John, but how many years ago was MASH? It's like I say, it's funny, but all the big rock and roll people that I used to listen to in the 50s are dead now. How did that happen? Well, mainly because I'm 78 and I'm heading for that long roundup myself,
You live forever on television or the
I don't agree with
television
that.
on the
I don't
internet.
agree with that. I don't agree with that. I listen to Jack Bishop, and he makes a lot of references about shows in the 50s, and I really want to say to him, don't do that, because basically nobody understands what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Only people who are cognoscenti would get some of those references. I think the other day he actually made a reference to somebody who was out before we were born, and I said, I keep saying to myself, how many people are going to remember this stuff? And the answer is...
now they have reruns on the internet. Now you can see anything from any period.
Yeah, but I don't think people really care about that stuff that's on TV. What's the name of it? The old sitcom
Nickelodeon.
channel. Nickelodeon. Yeah, Nick at Night or whatever it is.
Yeah, right. Well, in my trade journals for live broadcasting, live streaming, there's always some article about trends. And the biggest trend, the thing that youth are eating up the most, is gaming, online gaming and Twitch. And
I have watched it, some online gaming, because I play games in my time. Hello, you there, Bree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He was having some trouble there. I'm kind of a gamer. I mean, I like a few games, and if they come out, I buy them and then I play them. And I got to tell you something. They run about $50, and they're worth every penny, because they give you endless hours of entertainment, endless hours of diversion, endless hours of what is the rest of your life wasted.
Well, it's good,
And I
don't
wait a
do
minute.
gaming
And I
anymore,
found some channels on my PlayStation out there where you can watch people playing games.
Yeah,
and especially if it's like a game I've been playing, I really get fascinated by watching them play these games. And it's just, it's the game, and people are being shot at. But I love watching them.
In 2001, I was in Kiev, Ukraine.
Yeah.
And the internet connections were really bad.
Yeah.
So you had to go to the capital, Kiev. And I went to an internet cafe.
Right.
And I sat down and I got online and I was talking to my wife or whatever, texting or, sending emails. And then I had to do some spying because all these Ukrainians and Russians were sitting around, intently preoccupied in their video screens. It must have been like 30 people in this cafe, right? So I said, oh man, I'm so curious what they're doing. I just kind of like pretended, like I had to go to the bathroom or something, and I kind of wandered around. So would you believe this? Just about every single one of them was doing an online war game, shooting stuff, and I just got such a bad.
I never play with people online, and there's a reason for that, because I am so terrible at it that I get wiped out in 3 seconds, and it's no fun. I just peek my head out from behind a tree, my head's blown off. That's it.
Yeah.
Restart game.
That's the way I used to play computer chess. I got so fucking tired of losing all the time. I programmed all my pieces to be queens or something.
I just stopped playing chess. I just stopped playing chess because everybody was beating the shit out of me. And then I finally decided when computers came out, well, at least I can beat a computer. Forget it. That's even worse. That's humiliating.
Maybe
now a piece of machinery, a piece of electronics is beating your ass off. You know?
Yeah.
Hi, Patrick. Hi. How you doing tonight? Just peachy, right?
Yeah, just peachy.
He never says, "Oh, I feel like shit tonight." You know?
I don't.
Yeah, so that's great.
Bree.
It's terrific. Yes, how are you, Bree?
Good, Alex. Yeah, esports universities have esports programs. In China, they even have them much younger.
Esports? What's that?
Esports. Yeah. You know, they're the sport video games, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so China, they have a bunch of schools where you can go, and it's a big and growing business.
Wow.
To go to esports schools.
And
you know, so instead of taking cheerleading or basketball, you take esports, and they have entire towns dedicated to this.
That's terrific. That's really terrific. But I enjoy watching people play games.
It's a big thing on Twitch.
Yeah. Twitch is the major. It's huge. Twitch is the major method of doing it. In other words, if I want to hook my computer up to Twitch and play games, I can do it on Twitch. Twitch is the preferred game for that. You know. Here comes Amy Manuel. Yeah. I wonder what I did wrong tonight. Hello, Amy.
Well, there's
Hey.
There's a movie online called Free to Play. You can get it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And it follows 3 esports competitors who are very big in the sports, competing for like a $1 million prize or something like that.
Wow.
And it's a very interesting documentary. It goes into their lives and why they play. And, it's not just the game. They show a little bit of that. And it gives you the whole view of this esports phenomenon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's cool.
Yeah, no, I'll have to look for that. But I can see why people would sit there and watch people play games. Anybody here play video games? Jeff, I'm sure, plays video games.
I do.
Right, Jeff?
Yeah. No, not at all.
Not at all.
I do.
You do. What do you play, Amy?
Oh, I just some really kind of stupid Facebook games. Plus, I play. Actually, my husband and I play Pokemon Go together.
Pokemon
That's like
Go?
our date
come
night.
on, that's not a video
That's an outside
game.
thing. Don't you have to go outside and use your
Yeah,
smartphone?
I could never play that because it would involve going outside.
Yeah, especially in the snow.
It would involve something I think they refer to as walking.
Well, we'll like drive to places and just drive real slowly.
Yeah, well, I play a lot of first shooter games and games where you have to do things like climb up rocks and then jump over to another rock. And you can't do that, Bree?
No, you know what's funny, Alex, is I get dizzy if I play those games. Like I play StarCraft 2. That's my main game.
Is it a 3D game? Because I get dizzy. I can't watch 3D movies.
Everybody's getting crazy about virtual reality. You go into the shopping mall and there are all these people bobbing their heads up and down. I put that on for like 5 seconds and I have a severe headache, completely, discombobulated. Can't do it at all. So
for my birthday,
future, I guess I'm out of it.
Let me guess, you have astigmatism.
Yes, I do.
For my birthday this year,
same here.
My wife went out and bought me a $400 virtual reality goggles.
Do you use it?
We sent it right back. Because I said, I love you, dear, and this is, because she had somebody at the office that had them, and she tried them and said, oh, this is terrific, And I said, send it back, because we're going to use it because we're going to use it once, and then we're going to put it away in a corner somewhere. And we're going to go, wow.
Best TV show that ever dealt with that topic was a spin-off from Battlestar Galactica. It was a prequel called Caprica. check it
yes,
out.
Capricorn. I know. I have.
Oh,
I have them all.
Dynamite
I
Shark.
have them all. By the way, I collected them. Yeah.
There was some movie with I want to say Michael Douglas and Demi Moore.
Mm-hmm.
That it was about, she was the boss and doing the sexual harassment, but there was some whole thing with a virtual reality kind of file system that it looked like you were walking through and opening file drawers.
Well, you've lost me. I don't.
Was Sean Penn
I think it was
in that?
made for
There was
TV.
a
It was
kind
not
of a-
really good.
Oh, well then.
All right.
Okay, then I'll avoid it if I ever see anything by that description. Yes, Jeff.
I'm curious as to what happened with Amy yesterday.
Disclosure.
All, changes in you in Texas.
Oh, yeah. Well, we had our primary yesterday, and most of the people I was rooting for and working with won their primaries. In fact, our new chair trounced the incumbent. who, by the way, I had printed up these
Yeah, but these are primaries, right?
Yeah, this is the
yeah, because you're
primaries,
all going to get your ass handed to you by Republicans in Texas.
Well, not necessarily this time around. We had about 4 times the turnout, even in Denton County, as we had in 2014.
Well, we're still this is just the primaries, you know. So I mean, when it's a Democrat going up against a Democrat, you can go, "Yay, the Democrat won."
Well,
know?
yeah, but in this case, there was some pretty hot. I mean, usually we have, locally here, we have nothing going on.
Well, I think if you want to have a sure winner, do you have anything like a governor race or anything coming up?
Yes, actually.
Yeah.
So we've got at the top of the ticket. We have Beto O'Rourke is going to be our candidate against.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. Yeah.
And he is really going all over the state.
Yeah.
I just saw him last night on one of the national shows talking about how he is visiting places that haven't had any statewide candidates visit them since the 60s.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
since LBJ.
This is boring because it's Texas politics, and most people don't know the ins and outs of Texas politics, the nuances.
Hey, we miss
all I'm
Molly
saying
Ivins,
is if the Democrats want to win anything in Texas, just run Stormy Daniels, and I think you might have a shot.
No, but we have Lupe Valdez. How about a gubernatorial candidate that she was sheriff of Dallas County, but she's like 5 foot tall.
Oh, that's
lesbian hot. Latina.
That's hot. Girl on girl action, nothing better, right, Patrick?
Used to work for Homeland Security.
Because every time I used to go out with women, the people would say to me, "Is she a lesbian?" Because I used to like that kind of look. You know, I like short hair on a woman. Yes, Patrick.
I'd vote for her just if she sounds hot and if she looks hot. That's enough. I don't give a shit what you have to say.
You'd vote for.
Our ratings just went down.
You'd vote. No, actually, we're getting more listeners right now. Patrick, would you vote for Stormy Daniels?
Me?
Yeah, she's blonde. She's blonde.
You know what? You up and
I mean, she's got the fake fun bags, but don't let that stop you.
Yeah. No, the Latina sound good.
Yeah, the 5 foot tall lesbian Latina she's a badass.
We see.
She can kick any of your asses, probably all of you at once.
Well, I don't. That's not what I don't find that part attractive in a woman. However, because I don't want my ass kicked. Okay. You know, I behave myself. You will have no reason to kick my ass.
Democrats should run Stormy Daniels. She would beat President Trump easily.
Yeah. Stormy Daniels, I was telling girlfriend tonight, I don't find anything sexy about her because she's not my kind of woman. I don't like the fake Lee press on breasts, and I don't. I never liked porno actresses who gave me the sense that they were trying to act like whores. You know, I like the ones that were kind of more innocent, more real, more even a little ugly, so they were accessible to me. You know, so.
Well, and that's usually the problem with lesbians is men always think that there's a chance they're going to get together with two women.
No, that's not what that's not what it is at all. That's not what it is at all, Amy. It is the illusion that they might be able to change them. Okay,
right,
that
exactly.
You're going to be the guy that's going to be so good they're not going to want women anymore. And I got news for you guys. Boy, are you barking up the wrong tree.
That's right.
You know. Yes,
Not
Patrick.
always, Alex.
Yes, Patrick.
Not always.
It isn't even that for me. It's just the thought of the two of them going at it, and that's enough.
Well, no, I never got hot over two women having sex with each other because I always feel left out when I see the, you know.
No, I've never had that problem.
I need a male representation there, right?
I'll be the male, right? Sitting in the corner watching. That's good enough for me.
By the way, what was it that I was watching this thing with Alec Baldwin and Jerry Seinfeld the other night called Alec Baldwin on Sundays with Alec Baldwin, which is going to be a series, and he was maybe one of the best interviewers I've seen. He's just terrific. Okay.
Well, he was doing some interviews on Turner Classic Movies.
No,
he
he wasn't doing interviews. He was talking movies on that. This is interviewing. But anyway, but Jerry Seinfeld was on, and what was he was saying? There was a thing that Larry David said about Weinstein and people who would go and take showers and come out in their bathrobes, and I can't remember what it is right now. Damn it. Oh well. But Baldwin did have a perfect description of what Weinstein must have looked like naked. He said he was a human derma. That's a Jewish thing. Okay, forget
it. And it went right past me.
You don't know what derma is?
I do.
Explain
I do
it,
not.
Alex. You gotta explain it.
Derma is it's an undescribable food. Okay, it's stuffed derma. It's some kind of, I don't know, organ from something stuffed with stuff. Is there a better Jew than me out there who can call up and tell them what stuffed derma is? But anyway, he described him as a human derma. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, apparently we don't have that in Texas.
Yeah.
Whatever a derma is.
Yeah, well, no, you probably do. It's just you're not Jewish enough.
Jabba the Hutt.
You know, because
I mean, my ancestors were rabbis.
Well, Jews eat stuff like have you ever had greben? See now,
I've been in Texas too long.
No, you're a Texas Jew. You don't know from these things.
Yeah, that's
greben is. Anybody know what greben is? Anybody?
The whole world thinks all Jews are like Jews in New York.
Jeff is Jewish. Do you know what greben is?
Yes, and I would say greben.
Okay, but you can say greben. You can say greben.
No,
I say tomato. You say tomato.
That's right.
But tell her what greben is or greben.
That I don't quite remember.
Well, it's cooked chicken skin.
Yeah.
It's cooked chicken skin. I love it. I just love it. It also gives me the trots, so I don't eat it much. But I love my mother. Hello, Renee. You there? Renee? Apparently, she had some problems here. Are you there, Renee? Let me see if she's still on. Yeah, it looks like she's there. Who knows?
Well, I have one more interesting candidate from yesterday that unfortunately
here we go.
lost.
Texas fucking politics. Go ahead.
No, but okay.
Well, no, but nobody cares.
How about a land commissioner
who,
at one time when I met him, had a 5-inch high, spiked, bright orange mohawk?
Yeah. So? Oh, there's
Bush
Renee.
has won in Texas again.
Renee is outside. Hello, Renee. Why can't we hear you? Wait a minute. Hold on.
Doing sign language.
I'm here on the northern coast Yeah. Wait a minute. Where? Okay, now
all
she's
we
going to show
can see
something.
is the sky.
Yeah,
You
but
need to lower the camera a bit.
yeah.
Yeah, she's in Hawaii.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. A lovely sunset.
Oh, pretty.
Yeah. Now, if Bree somehow could have had a picture of the sun going up in Dubai, that would really make great television, you know. So, anyway.
One of these days.
Yeah. By the way, it seems like the Stormy Daniels thing has gotten a lot of press today. Like, it seemed to be the topic du jour on MSNBC.
It's front page
Oh, well, because it turned out
wait a minute. Hold on a second. Hold on a second,
Trump
Amy.
didn't
Wait a minute.
sign the thing.
Bree was talking, Amy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead, Bree. Well, because you said it's a news story over there too.
Oh yeah. So we've heard that here.
Yeah,
it's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we've known about Stormy Daniels for a while, but now it turns out that I think Trump is suing her or attempting to sue her for $1 million because she broke the confidentiality agreement for the $130,000. But it turns out he didn't sign it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is he going to sue it with his alias, or is he going to sue it with his real name?
Yeah, well, they had DD, AKA, and then blank. Okay, and that's where Trump was supposed to sign it. But
well, now he's got a restraining order.
Well, that's fine, and it might work though. It might work. You know, you're saying, well, he didn't sign it, but she took the $130,000. You know, so that kind of makes it valid.
Well, his attorney this morning said she was willing to give it back if that's the case.
Really? Oh,
Wow.
okay.
She's prepared to give it back.
All right.
I mean, isn't this so friggin' weird? I mean, we're talking about the president of the United States.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it was fucking weird. It was fucking weird when we were talking about a president getting blowjobs in the Oval Office. You know, I mean, come on.
Yeah, but that was
too.
the main story. This is like a second or third story because there's so much shit happening at the White House.
Yeah, it's almost as weird as the Attorney General flying to California to sue California.
Yeah. Well, they said, hello, Renee. There she is. Let me throw this one on you. Somebody was saying today, and I think it was a very good comment, and that was that it's gotten to the point where Donald Trump has so much bad behavior that nobody's surprised by it any longer. In other words, the reason we don't get so bothered by it is because, quite frankly, he fucked the playmate. You know, I mean,
we should.
Wait a minute. He not only screwed a playmate and Stormy Daniels at the same time that his wife had just given birth to their son. Okay, that's bad enough. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter because you expect this out of him. So this is behavior we now kind of go along with because that's Donald. Well, it's the same thing they said about Weinstein too for years. That's Harvey, you know. I think it's a big story, but I think it's going to go away because it's not going to undo him. There are going to be a lot of other things that are going to undo him before that undoes him. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, sorry for interrupting. But you know, I'd love to send a reporting team to Italy and ask the average Italian on the street, what do they think of Donald Trump?
Hey.
Because they had their Donald Trump.
Yeah.
His name was Silvio Berlusconi. This guy was a total
by the way, for your information, he's running again. He's running again.
He's more outrageous than Trump. He was like humping his limo driver in front of the cameras.
Yeah, but more bunga bunga parties. That's the good news.
Yeah, right. So to the Italians, this is nothing.
And just as crooked and mafia connected.
Yeah, well, I don't think Trump's mafia connected. I think Trump.
No.
I think Trump, because you don't live in New York, so you don't understand how business is done here. If you are a businessman in New York, you pretty much have to do business with the mob in order to get stuff done. In other words, in order to get goods moved across town, you got to grease the palm of the mob. So you know mobsters. So the fact that he did business with mobsters, he would have had to have done business with mobsters in order to build Trump City, for instance. Yes.
But doesn't that make him mafia connected?
No, that makes everybody who does business in New York mafia connected. Tom?
Let's expand this. Organized crime connected. And that's where you can bring in the Russians.
Right.
Yes. 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 Okay.
And Abu Dhabi.
Well, let's see here.
UAE, you know, and
yeah, the Saudis are more corrupt than anybody
so
now.
so you got all this stuff against him. It's like everybody has been numb to what he does. Nobody's going, "Oh, Stormy Daniels, isn't that a horrible thing?" You know, where are the Republicans? Where are the moral Republicans
100th level?
Yeah, but where
worst things he's done?
But where are the moral Republicans who want more moral America? Like, what's his name? His second in command,
Pence.
Pence would, if I said to Pence, "Hey, I'm going to go I'm married and my wife just gave birth to a child, but I'm going to go fuck a porn actress." How do you think Pence would react to that? And yet he's putting up with it from Donald Trump.
That's because Trump is giving them exactly what they want. They're slashing taxes on corporations, making deals with overseas accounts. They're packing the Supreme Court. They're going to cut Medicare, Social Security. Trump is the Republican wet dream. They're fine for putting up with all his stupid shit because he's giving them the meat and the potatoes, man.
Patrick's got his hand up. Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, if grabbing pussy did not cause any waves within the evangelical community,
there you go.
Way back then.
They were going to vote for Roy Moore.
Right.
Yeah, right.
I mean, and frankly, like for me, I've got a friend of mine on Facebook, and she is a liberal feminist on steroids, and she makes every feminist that I know look like massive. She posted something today, and it was anti-Trump, and I said to her, you know what? I don't spend one waking moment worrying about it, because if that initial thing about the pussy grabbing did not turn people off on the Republican side, Stormy Daniels isn't going to do a damn thing. So I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't spend an extra second posting about it. It's just nothing.
It's nothing.
I'm much more concerned about the fact that the Russians had a say in who he picked for Secretary of State, and that Secretary of State that he did pick has been disassembling the State Department and not enforcing the sanctions.
You can be concerned about it, but you can't do nothing about it.
That's right, Amy. Can't do shit about it. You know.
But it's a much bigger deal.
Stormy
Daniels was like, yeah, so what?
The Russians learned from us very well. They listened to Abraham Lincoln, you know, and they knew that the only way that we would defeat is to defeat ourselves. And essentially, they're using our system against us. And quite frankly, I don't know that our system can withstand it. Not ultimately. The damage that's done is going to be everlasting. And if you look around the world, the trend is towards, autocracy. It's towards the absolute monarchs. Yeah, I think that not total authoritarianism. It's more like, kind of Brave New World-ish meets 1984-ish. But that seems to be the trend.
Illusion of democracy.
That's right.
Well, we've had an illusion of democracy here for centuries. You know, I don't think we've ever had a real democracy in this country. We have an illusionary democracy that makes people think that we have some control over our lives, which basically I don't think we do. Yes, Patrick. Wait a minute. Your mic isn't on, Patrick. Can't hear you.
Never been a democracy. It's been a republic since the beginning, a representative republic. So the whole thing we've been, I mean, I was taught the same word, democracy, in school. It's never been that. It's been a representative republic from day one.
Well, I have to disagree on this to this extent, Patrick, that when we say democracy, we're implying that we have total freedom of speech, freedom of the press, all the things the Constitution guarantees us. And yet, in reality, that's all really an illusion. I mean, as someone, people have said to me, well, Alex, you do a talk show and you say whatever you feel. And I go, I don't say everything I feel. I can't say anything that might really upset the status quo. I can give my opinion on something. You know, but if I was on a radio station and my opinion was too far to the left, well, here's where I am doing my little internet show. Yes.
Like Peter B. Collins, yeah. You know, I got to say, I still have hope in local politics, in which I'm involved in local Marin County politics. And I got to say, yes, we still have democracy here. We can get candidates elected who represent a majority feeling, and if we don't like them, we can vote them out. We can go to our board of supervisors or city meetings, and people listen to us. We can have an impact.
But that's an illusion in and of itself, because you think that by that happening, your assumption is that by that happening, there's going to be a seed change in this nation, and there isn't going to be.
No, I'm saying that you're correct. On
what
federal
kind of a
level.
sea change are you looking for?
No, don't put words in.
I was asking Alex.
I'm not saying
what kind of sea change do I want? Outright revolution.
No,
okay,
I'm saying
I want people who are so
democracy and those concepts have shrunk down to the local level.
I'll tell you something. I'm going
to
say something, but first Patrick has his hand up. Oh, wait a minute. Tom had his hand up first, and then Patrick. Yes, Tom.
Okay, so going back to the illusion and what Patrick was saying is the type of democracy as being republic. The illusion is that our representatives actually represent the whole of the population.
Mm-hmm.
When in fact what's happened is through gerrymandering, and the actual also compromises when we came up with the Electoral College from the very founding of the country, that there is a disproportionate representation from some of the population, particularly the rural population, as opposed
cows
to
get more votes.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but as I'm saying, that we have this illusion that if you have 50% or 55% of the voters in a particular, party, that you'll have 55% of the representatives of that party too. And it's not happening. It hasn't been happening for a long time. We basically have a ruling minority right now.
Yeah. So, yes, Patrick.
I think I said this back when Trump was elected and probably back when Obama was still in office. Local politics, for me, are more important because while we had Obama as president, we were able to, in Wisconsin, elect Governor Scott Walker. And that's what I wanted. That's what a majority of Wisconsinites wanted. And it's the same at the local level for mayors and people like that. Those are the people that affect our lives day to day constantly. And yes, Washington, D.C. does affect us, but in the very immediate future, our school boards, our governors, our mayors, our city clerks, or whomever represent us at a local level, if you're not going to get involved in that, then don't fucking bitch nationally, because you got to start at the local level, and then you move your way up to the national with the Senate and the House, and then then you've got your president. But
yes.
But wait a minute. But I think what you're doing is you're kind of believing in that hamster wheel that we are led to believe is going to create change.
Yeah, but Alex, in Wisconsin, we had throughout the Obama administration, we had Governor Walker. Governor Walker was doing things completely different than what Obama was doing. And that's what we wanted. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
My vote counted locally.
Yes.
Do you believe that your vote counts as much now that Citizen United is in play?
Good question.
Well, for me, I haven't seen any change. I mean, there haven't been any election other than Trump where I voted and I didn't get what I wanted, that I sure as hell didn't vote for him. But for the most part, I mean, locally in that, if it's a loss, it's a loss by a narrow margin. It's not somebody getting paid off. So it's just unique to where I'm at.
See, I believe that you make trouble, because that's how you make change. Because, you know, it's funny, but nothing ever gets changed in this country unless somebody is afraid. Unless the people in Washington are afraid, you know. And I think the whole civil rights thing and the fact that it was changed and that blacks got more rights in this country was because the whites were afraid. And they just said, let's pass something. We got to do something about this. Let's keep them from, you know, we don't want them, right? So I believe that something that strikes fear into the body politic, I mean, literal fear where they're worrying about their lives, it probably has more of an effect on them than signing a little petition and sending it to Washington. Okay.
Hey, case in point, right now there's a big battle going on in this state with two Senate bills, 827, 828. They're for replacing local control and local governance over what gets built where, especially around transportation corridors. And, you know, the developers and the big tech industries here in the Bay Area have put forth AstroTurf groups, and they've got State Senator Scott Wiener, you know, advocating for this kind of housing. They're getting pushed back, Alex, in Los Angeles, in Boyle Heights. There are people that are fighting this kind of gentrification, you know, where boutique businesses come in, developers with giant 8-story, you know, luxury apartments are displacing people. So these kids and activists of all sorts are going to these shops. They're spray painting the doors. They're saying, move out, get out. We don't want you in our neighborhood. In Oakland, they've even set fire to some of these giant high-rise developments that are going on because they're displacing people. So is that what you're talking about? If it is, I think that's
as
good.
long I'm all for burning those buildings. Okay, as long as there's nobody in them.
Yeah. Right.
In other words,
well,
I see nothing wrong with attacking property. You know, I find that property is simply it's.
Renee is shaking her head.
It's a Patrick. Are you going to jump in on this and play Phil, or do you want me to get in there and do the Phil?
Are you going to be a Republican tonight, Renee?
Just for like a heartbeat. Because you know, goddamn it, if Phil was here, he would say that property needs to be protected, and those people are breaking the law, and they should be shot on sight.
But don't you understand that most of the laws we have in this country don't protect you; they protect property
and the wealthy.
And well, in
The
that
property of the wealthy.
and the reason why it's the wealthy is because the wealthy own the property.
Yeah.
All right. But if I burn down a building with nobody in it, so nobody gets hurt, I'm going to wind up getting as much time in prison as some guy who killed somebody. All right.
Yeah.
And because property is so valued over human life, okay, that's a reality in this country. Boy, am I getting radical tonight. Yes. Well, first, let's do Tom, and then let's do Patrick. Okay.
Oh boy! So let me be the one to say to defend the property. I completely disagree with that analysis that building housing on transportation corridors is going to exacerbate gentrification. Actually, exact opposite. It's going to be relieving gentrification. And I think it's despicable.
No fucking way.
I think it's despicable that people are burning.
I'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay. They're making the situation worse, and we do need more housing. We need housing of all types. We need and the environmental community.
Well, here, when I was talking about it, I wasn't talking about housing as much as I was talking about property. Okay.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm talking about specifically about people who are burning down housing because they have this notion that they are making neighborhoods more affordable for poor people. Exact opposite. Exact opposite. They're actually making housing more expensive. They're making the situation worse. And we need, as I said, we need to have housing for all levels of incomes.
Well, just to counter on that,
I agree with
there's the whole issue of affordability. They're building this kind of shit all over right now, and none of it is affordable. The affordability that they are given is so the percentage is so small, and they never put a price tag on affordability. Like, what's affordable? If you want to talk about anything, if you want to talk about making change, you got to have a national $15 an hour minimum wage. You have to start giving people raises, picking up the standard of living for the middle class and the working poor. You can't have people working 2 or 3 jobs or working gig economy jobs like Uber or Lyft or shit like that, and expect them to be able to afford to live here in the Bay Area.
I fully
so you build your damn houses, they're not going to house anyone.
I fully support the wage, fully support getting people unionized, fully support that. But as I said, if you're going to say we're not building any housing,
that's not those of us that are opposed. They want to build 10-story houses. Alex, you know where you did your show? We were just talking about that a couple nights ago at the Goodmans in Mill Valley. They're talking about tearing down the Goodmans and building a giant 10-story housing complex there. I mean, that's what we're talking about. That's going to add such tremendous traffic.
Goodman's was a lumber store, then became a housewares store, and it's probably one of the biggest ones in Marin. Where are you going to buy your trestles from now? I mean,
exactly. No, I mean, what the other thing? Someone said it. A former mayor of Fairfax, nearby here, said that what these rule changes are going to do is create an unfunded mandate. Because how are we going to support the influx of these kind of people? These numbers of people living on transportation corridors? You're going to have water, PG&E. You're going to have extra fire, police. We don't even have the fire trucks in Marin to be able to fight a fire on a 10-story apartment complex.
I think it's important that the county create rules about that you can't have any structures over a certain size, because of course there's a hold on a second. There's a law in Marin, for instance, because I know Marin intimately since I grew up there. There was a law in Marin, long-standing since we first moved there, where you cannot have a billboard in Marin County. I defy you to find a billboard.
True.
And so you can pass laws that say you can't build a building taller than 3 or 4 stories.
A palm tree.
But 827 and 828 are abrogating that. They're saying that you can build 8 and 10-story.
What's 827 and 828?
Senate Bill 827, 828. If you want to find out about this stuff,
people have to understand that Marin County is a very kind of bucolic area, even though it's There are a lot of people living there, and there's a lot of moneyed people in there. It still is a very kind of bucolic atmosphere in which I don't know if a building taller than 4 stories. I think I worked in one in San Rafael, maybe a few that are taller than that in some of the major cities. But, you know, out there, right there on Highway 101, they have that kind of building. Boy, that's a pain in the ass. Yes,
that's what they want to do, Alex.
Renee first, and then Amy. Yes.
I just want to make one comment about the burning down buildings. Here's the problem with that. Fires spread. Things catch fire
talking
that
about
weren't
this,
intended.
Amy, we're not talking about this literally as much as we are philosophically.
But he was
right.
talking about their
I don't
burning buildings.
Yes.
I don't condone arson. All right, I point that out because that shows a level of anger that is not making it out into the airwaves. You know, I mean, they tell the news about that, but they don't go out and interview people and ask them why. And there's a lot of people that support that. So that's going to tell you something. That's going to tell you about a level of angst out there.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's cutting off your nose just about your face.
Tom has his hand up.
I will concede, there's lots of large areas of Marin County that should not be developed. But definitely here where I am in the East Bay, I live 1 block away from San Pablo Avenue, major transportation corridor. We definitely could handle a lot more density and a lot more building along the San Pablo corridor. Would you be able to agree to that?
I think that it's
San Francisco and Berkeley opposed SB 827, 828.
Yeah.
But
wait a minute.
Actually,
Hold on a second.
Nancy Skinner is a co-sponsor.
Hold on a second. The point is that when we're talking about Richmond, we're talking about a different area than we're talking about Marin County. I mean, I would hate to see Marin County have a lot of tall buildings. I think that it's not the nature of that county. It's a very green county. It's got a lot of woods and trees and things like that. And big buildings like that would kind of destroy it. On the other hand,
how much money you got?
Richmond is there's the answer. Richmond, on the other hand, is a lot of business and is more industrial in nature, and so it could take those kind of buildings and probably would make an improvement to Richmond. That's what we're saying. You know, yes.
If I may, just a quick question.
Yeah.
Aren't a specific percentage of each one of these new structures built required to be of a certain level, below a certain level of income and then above? Yes. Isn't there a percentage per structure? So if you're
really small, it's so small.
Well, then let's bump it up. And you're not talking about a minimum wage at $15. You're talking and fighting for a living wage. And that's all I got to say.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see here. I see somebody else with a hand up. Yes, Patrick.
Yeah, and I think the question was answered already. I was going to bring up the fire department. You know, you want livable places and you want to be able to afford them. Well, you can't if your taxes are going up because you can't have a fire department large enough that's going to put out the fires of the buildings you're burning down to prove what fucking point? That you don't have enough housing, so you're going to burn down the possible housing that's going to require tax money to be used for fire department to put out the fucking fires of the buildings that are going to be rebuilt anyway. And then I'll put on my liberal cap just for a second here, kind of like Renee put on her.
Wait a minute, here you can have mine. You know,
it's a commie hat, man.
What about the environment with burning down these fucking buildings? It just to make a point. I mean, to me, it's just ridiculous. And I know, like where I live, any new construction, like apartments or condos, that sort of thing, there is, like Renee said, a certain threshold where you have to have either disability or low income, whatever it is, available. And no, it's not a huge percentage, but then again, that's something that can be worked on locally if people want it.
Right. Well, the problem with affordable housing, and I am all for that. And in fact, my heart goes out to the homeless. If you go drive around downtown San Francisco
fuck the homeless.
It'll make you sick
Bill's
just
here.
to see all the tents and everything. The spirit of
I hate the homeless. They're such a drag on our society. Why don't they get a job, huh?
Yeah, right. So, this is the city of San Francisco.
Yeah, but he was a sissy.
I mean, to see the condition that the homeless are living in is horrible. Why don't these legislators create something to house them? We had a chance to do this in Marin.
Doing with this bill.
No, it's not for the homeless.
They're trying to build more housing.
No, they're building market rate housing. They built
okay. And
market rate housing is seven.
Housing,
market rate housing here is $700,000 and above.
Let me put a different spin on this whole discussion. I live here in Harlem. In Harlem, it was a place you moved because you didn't have money, because you were black and they didn't want you in other parts of the town. You felt more comfortable here. But you could get an apartment for next to nothing. There are people in this apartment building who are still, because they are rent controlled, not even rent stabilized, paying, $300, $400 a month for a 15-room apartment, right? But
I want to be their child.
all the new people moving into this apartment building are paying $7,000 for an apartment. So what happens with all this stuff when you gentrify a neighborhood like they have in Harlem, what once was an affordable place for people of little means, it has now become an impossible place for them to live. And where do they go? Yes, Kevin, you got your hand up.
Well, it's the same thing that's going on here where I live. We used to be in an area where, 50 miles south of Silicon Valley, and it used to be an affordable area. Now we're going through the same thing. They're building up this area, where I could buy a house for $250,000. My house is now worth about $600,000, and they're building all over here. People are going nuts. They haven't built any of the roads around here. There's like 3 roads in and out of this town, and they're all falling apart. Like right now, they've got one road, the main road, cut off because they're building
at least they're not fracking out there and destroying it with those
main railroad
trucks.
trestle. They've got it closed off. Everybody's going crazy trying to get in and out of this town for the next 2 days, and the main routes are only 2 lanes. They don't have enough fire. They don't have enough police, and they're still building 244 houses a year, and
What town is that?
that's being restricted.
What town?
It's Hollister.
Oh, Hollister.
Yeah.
Got
South
it.
of Gilroy.
Yeah.
All I'm saying
we're,
is
we're in the corner of I call it the San Benito Triangle.
Listen, I live with a reality that if tomorrow I moved out of this apartment house, I would have to move out of Manhattan. I would have to move out of New York because I couldn't afford anything anywhere else in New York now.
Yeah.
These people are paying $2,600 in rent on a 3-bedroom house in rent, and they have to.
Is that in
commute to
Hollister?
Silicon Valley.
And that's in
I don't
Hollister.
pay that much
You know
for
who
my
you have to blame for that.
4-bedroom, 2-bath house.
But they're traveling
1,800
60
square
miles.
feet.
Who you
one
have
way
to blame, who you have
their
to blame for that,
jobs.
Kevin, who you have to blame for that is all those fucking Silicon Valley assholes.
Exactly.
Who went in there and just...
I used to travel 150 miles a day to work.
Yeah.
To and from.
Well, that's the reason why San Francisco is now impossible to live in financially, is because they all move their companies up there. I mean, the place where I used to do my radio shows, that people remember, that was on 8th Avenue, which was called the Furniture Mart, that's now Twitter. Or is it Twitter? Yeah, it's Twitter.
Tourist headquartered there.
Because they used to be down in Silicon Valley, but they didn't want to have to run the buses back and forth to take their people back and forth from San Francisco to work. So they came to join their people in San Francisco. And then all the people that were in Silicon Valley came up and flushed into San Francisco. And everybody raised their prices because these little semi-billionaires had the money for it. Yes, Renee.
Patrick first. I'm after Patrick. Sorry.
Oh, Patrick first.
Patrick had his hand up first.
I was just going to say, like, for me, if I were to look for a different apartment and I require a garage so that I'm out of the element at some point, even though it's not attached, I'm looking at paying even more than what I pay now. And I don't get any disability benefit or anything like that for housing because I still work, freelance and that sort of thing. And it's just amazing that even in Milwaukee, where I'm at, how expensive shit is and how expensive it's gotten over the years for housing. And I don't know how people manage. I'm paying nearly what I paid for my mortgage to live in a 2-bedroom apartment. It's just unfucking real.
Yeah. I mean, all I'm saying is that gentrification in many ways is a terrible thing because where do the people who once used that as low-cost housing go when that's no longer available to them?
That's right. Okay, so the issue with the San Francisco Bay Area, and you were talking about the fact that Twitter moved up there because Twitter couldn't get its people down there, and there's a huge bus problem where the employers are putting their people on charter buses and getting in the carpool lane and driving from San Francisco back into the valley. If the San Francisco Bay Area did not fail 40 or 60 years ago by getting Caltrain and looping an entire system around the Bay Area for mass transit, they wouldn't be in this problem. If the Bay Area would have put money into their mass transit, the corridor between San Francisco, San Jose, Gilroy, it wouldn't be like this.
They're trying to do it now, and it's costing them up the butt.
I was at a store one time, and there was a lady just a little older than me, and she said, "Oh, gee, I was at the protests so that BART wouldn't come on our side of the valley." And I almost flew over that.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Renee, it's the tech companies that have driven this building boom. Not lack of transportation.
Well, wait a minute. Let me.
No, it's lack of transportation. It is lack of transportation.
No, sorry.
You're missing the whole.
I think it's both.
Wait,
I think it's both.
Dubai? Where is Dubai?
They should have planned the transportation because of the tech.
Well, you want to know something? I got to tell you something. And let's talk about lack of transportation. When they built BART, which is Bay Area Rapid Transit, for those who don't live in San Francisco, and we should let you know what they were talking about, they built it everywhere, except the only place they wouldn't allow it was Marin County. And you know something? Marin County has stayed kind of nice because of it.
Yeah. But it doesn't. But you're bitching about the buses when the buses didn't have to be there if they had high-speed rail running from San Francisco down to Hollister. But because everybody sat on their asses, you don't have it. And I can't believe you people who have mass. So in the San Francisco Bay Area, we do not have one complete.
Wait a minute! You just said we. You're living in Hawaii now.
They do not have one.
You were one of those. You were one of those. You were one of those. You were one of those cowards who moved out. Okay.
And statewide Texas politics was too local for you.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think that look.
We talked about
no. Wait a minute. I think the problem we're talking about is not just Marin County. This is all over the country. I think everybody can relate. Like Patrick was relating it to his area. I mean, we're just talking about Marin County because that happens to be where Renee is from, and John lives in Marin, and Kevin's down in Hollister. But this is a generic. This problem goes on all over the country, and so where are? Yeah.
You look at any major metropolitan city, whether it's here in the United States or on the other side of the planet, and those mass transits link up. They're circular. They're circular with the feeders into the city for a frickin' reason, because they know it works. But San Francisco Bay Area does not have one transit system that goes around, and I'm not 200% sure that they don't have to make three changes.
Jeff had his hand up a while back. You had something you wanted to say, Jeff.
Yeah. Well, I used to go to the Bay Area all the time for business. And the reason I went there is because they were trying to expand their products, and a lot of this stuff was new technology, new medical stuff, whatever, and there was a tremendous number of people moving in the area because of the jobs. And the jobs were also, you got paid very well. But the problem was the transportation was lousy. When you had to go rent the place, it was very expensive and not very modern, so to speak. But you kind of took over for that. Right. And they happen to be one of the places that still has tremendous number of jobs and well-paying jobs. Probably more per square foot than any else in the United States. And it's going to continue that way with that economy.
Well, yes, Tom.
I'm just going to put in one thing in support of our transportation system.
Please.
I've actually got a great book here about the history of BART, written by a guy who's, from the very beginning in the part of it. And the thing is that BART came very close to not being built.
Oh yeah, I heard this.
3 counties had to vote on it, and the vote was very, very close. And can you imagine what would happen if BART had been defeated? And in one of those counties, all it took would be one county to defeat it, and the system would have been built. Can you imagine what Bay Area transportation would be like without BART today?
Well, can you imagine what New York City would be without the subways?
Exactly.
I mean, it would be impossible. I would never leave my house ever.
It would be like living in Texas.
Yeah, and so this should snatch.
No, it wouldn't be like living in Texas, because in Texas you can get from one place to another with a car. Here, you don't even want to own a car in Manhattan because it's senseless. It's just senseless.
Hey, I just want to add one thing about this whole real estate thing. I've been really studying this issue because I'm involved in it with local politics. Almost 25% of real estate in the hot spots, that's Chicago, Boston, San Francisco, LA, New York, Florida, is 25% is foreign owned. So they have turned the real estate in this country into an investment vehicle. And that is adding to the cost. Yeah, just remember that.
Tollways, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Hey, Alex.
Yeah. Yes.
I loved your pregame show there. The first half hour was excellent.
Oh, with Larry
Brought
King?
Me back. I remember that show.
Yeah.
And I actually worked at the Burlingame Cyclery when you did that show. That was excellent.
Yeah, no, it was
good
terrific.
show.
If people didn't get to see it, you can always watch the rerun here after the show is over.
I might not be on tomorrow night. I'm getting cut first thing in the morning. So
you're getting cut? Cut for what?
Oh yeah, good luck.
Yeah, my knee.
Your knee. Oh, okay. Well, lots of luck with that, and we'll keep out a good thought for you. By the way, thank you, Johnny, for being with us tonight. You like the name Johnny, right?
Either way, it works.
Yeah, John Palulis.
Parulis,
excuse me. Tom Imaguchi. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Patrick, always nice to have you here. Renee, thank you so much. I always appreciate your calls, as do I, Jeff. And Bree, say goodnight to everybody.
Good night.
Yeah, and next time turn your camera on so we can see Dubai.
Yeah, it's tough.
I know it's tough. And Kevin, again, lots of luck. Hey, everybody, why don't you give a big wave goodbye so that they can all see that you love them? Okay? All right. There goes our citizens panel for tonight. And hold on a second. I got to get my camera on. There. Oh, wait a minute. Look at Bree. He's got his hand going there. That's what we got to Bree tonight. Anyway, thank you very much, Bree. I appreciate it. Let me see here. Let me get rid of the citizen panel here so the next show can use the Skype lines. We should get like a couple of Skype lines so we wouldn't have to just have one. Anyway, that's it for tonight. I'm Alex Bennett. Stay tuned for the intersection next with Jack and Amy, who you just heard on our panel. Thank you, Amy, for having joined us. And they will be on until 1 o'clock in the morning when it's Connections. Tomorrow night at 9:30, Damian Chaplin takes to these Gabnet airwaves, and then tomorrow night at 10. We're here, okay? See you tomorrow, same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye.